Hey folks, it's Keith, Victor Echo 3, Sierra, Victor Quebec, and sometimes Victor Alpha 3, Kilo Echo India. And I thought today I would take a run at some of the issues that I hear from students who are thinking about taking Morse code or who have just signed up for a class and they have a bunch of questions. It's also something that I see all the time in various Facebook groups that deal with Morse code. So just answer some of those questions because really, when you sit down and you say, I'm going to learn Morse code, number one, do you have a reason to? Most of us do because, well, I think probably the most popular reason right now is chasing parks on the air. That's one of the things that has really opened things up. People going into parks as activators and needing a lightweight equipment, and certainly CW equipment's much lighter than the full scale radios. So CW has taken off huge numbers of people. So what's your motivation for learning it? Because that motivation is what will drive you through the good times and of course the bad times. Because there will be times when you do Morse code where you just get totally frustrated. It's going to be enough to keep you going. Think of that before you even try it. But most of what the issues that I see when it comes to learning Morse code or that people talk about, it's the fear of the unknown, right? It's the fear of doing something differently and something, totally different to what you would normally do on the radio or even in your everyday life. So I think the very first thing is to get rid of that fear and just realize that this is a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. You're not on, you're not doing a new job where you're on probation and you have to reach this skill level or whatever. It's fun. Now, certainly when it comes to ham radio and CW, part of the things that makes it confusing when you're starting is we all like to use all sorts of jargon and abbreviations and so on. So I just used one. We talk about CW. Very few people will say I'm talking about Morse code. We just refer to it as CW. And Morse code has dozens and dozens and dozens of abbreviations, which can be quite confusing when you start. Don't worry about them. Once you're on the air, a lot of these abbreviations will suddenly make sense to you, and you'll start using them too. So don't get all wrapped up in what people are saying. And the other thing I think that in some ways discourages people or concerns them, so many people talk about Morse code as a language, and they keep stressing it's a language that you're learning. And that might be right, but the terminology is such. How many people here watching this video have tried to learn a language for the first time? Pretty frustrating. And a lot of people gave up. If you have to learn Spanish or French or whatever the case might be. So don't get intimidated by that phrase that you're learning a language. Really, you're learning sound, and sound patterns. And yes, you can do it. So that's one of the other points I just wanted to point out here. Now, where do you start? Well, there's so much stuff on the internet, so much stuff on YouTube. And I think the easiest thing for you to do is try and find a reputable organization or a very good website. We learn one of two ways. We either learn with a group or we try and do it on our own. Now, I've done both. All right, I tried it on my own for about, I don't know, 4 to 6 months, somewhere in there. Then someone mentioned the Long Island CW Club, which is the one I'm with right now. And they opened up a whole new set of doors and interests. And so I stayed with them. And now actually I teach one of the beginner classes with them. So how you learn is going to be up to you. If you're going to learn on your own, you have to be very independent minded. You have to have a strong mental outlook and force yourself to do things. Because there will be days when you don't want to learn. You're just too tired. Forget it. I'll come back. Big mistake. It's consistent practice. One of the big advantage to using a club, and like I said, I'm with the LICW. There's other organizations, CWAPs, and so on, local amateur radio clubs that teach. I don't teach Morse code. One of the advantages to that is you have the reinforcement from the instructors. You have instructors who can clarify some issues for you. And just in sitting in a class with other people, you realize there's so many other people with the exact same issues that you have. So suddenly you're not alone. And it's not that you can't do it. You have an issue that needs to be solved. All the other students have the same issue. So it gives you that little bit of reinforcement that you can actually do this. I guess one of the most common fears people have is that they're going to try this and they're going to fail. So it's really, will I be able to learn this? Will I be able to understand and send Morse code back and forth and just really get into that part of the hobby? And I'm going to say, yeah, pretty sure you can. A lot of the issues we get are, especially actually in the Facebook groups, the most common one I see is, I might be too old to learn Morse code. Or I'll see someone say, I'm 70. I don't think I'm able to learn Morse code anymore. Or even saw one person, I think he was 92, and he said, I really like to learn Morse code, but I don't think I can at my age. Look here, I'm an old timer too. I did it. You can do it. I'm in my mid 70s. So, yes, you can learn it. And we all learn at our own speed, at our own pace. So, what your buddy in class might learn at might be totally different to what you learn at. If I look at the structure for, let's say, the LICW one, the beginners one, or beginner carousel one, as they call it, is 18 letters in 6 weeks. So, there you go. You got 6 weeks of work ahead of you. The BC2, which is the second layer, will take you 9 weeks to go through. And that's under ideal, perfect circumstances. So 15 weeks. Will you do it in 15 weeks? Maybe, maybe not. You may find along the way that you get stuck on some things and you have to redo them a few times. Nothing wrong with that. No one's saying you've got to do it here. Here's the cutoff, or that's it. You guys are done. You can take as long as you need to take. And yes, the age won't matter because we do learn at different speeds. You'll do just fine. I wouldn't worry about that at all. And don't let people discourage you by saying, oh, you're too old, or in some cases, oh, you're too young. Morse code, CW, we can all learn it. We all learn at our own pace. Now, I think I'm on, I don't know, point number 6. I haven't really been tracking it all, but somewhere around point number 6 at the moment. And that's really, will you be any good when you do all of this? And there is such a range of skill and ability out there. And of course, we all get flabbergasted and you're listening to some guy send at 30 words a minute. Don't worry about it. You don't have to send at 30 words a minute. There are a lot of people that you can talk to who are sending 12 words a minute, 13 words a minute, 14 words a minute. That's part of the reason for taking a program or a course. They prepare you for that. And different clubs and so on will have different standards that they want you to try and meet. But I can tell you from personal experience that there's lots of people to talk to at what we call, here goes another abbreviation, QRS, which is the abbreviation for slow speed or please slow down. So, and again, one of the, if it's not a contest, contests tend to be a bit different. But if it's just a casual conversation with someone, the sort of unofficial rule is that the person who sends the fastest will slow down to the speed of the other person. So if you're sending at 12 words a minute and somebody answers you and they normally do 18 or 20 words a minute, most of the time they're going to slow down for your speed. And if they don't, you don't have to talk to them, right? Don't worry about these things. Don't obsess about your speed and how you do. There will always be someone willing to talk to you at a slower speed. And I've used the example many times, I think in other videos, of a young man I heard think he was in Atlanta, 7 words a minute, and actually varied between 5 and 7. And he was having a ball contacting people all over the world. And people would slow down and help him out and go at his speed. Certainly, the organizations that, some of the ones I belonged to when I first got on the air, the guys were just wonderful. The SKCC, Straight Key Century Club, the people in there were fabulous, absolutely fabulous. I could go in, I could put my name, QRS, whatever, for slow speed, and people would contact me. And, there you can sort of like on your phone, you can send private messages, and they'd send me a message. What speed do you want to try? Pick a speed. We'll do your speed. And sometimes I'd come back and I'd say, well, between 10 and 12. And they'd say, great. And sure enough, they would contact me between 10 and 12 words per minute. Then we would have a conversation and I would go, that's one down. So don't worry about it. Right? Don't panic about how fast you have to be at all. The other one is to get ready to get on the air. So let's assume, I don't know, maybe even you've done the entire thing on your own. No club, no assistance. You've done this on one of those websites on your own. Now you're ready to try and get on the air. So of course, one of the first things that comes in is, what do I say? That's a huge fear for people who are getting ready to get on the air. What do I say when I get on? Well, most of the organizations out there will actually have what they call, in some cases, a protocol. Some cases will be procedure. It's all the same thing. Morse code is very structured. This person says this, the other person says that. The other first person comes back with something, second person replies to that, and so on. So there's a back and forth that goes on. A lot of it very, very almost formalized. So all the organizations out there have these on their websites. Print it off. Put your call sign in the appropriate places. It's a cheat sheet. That's all it is. So now you know what you will say when you actually get into a conversation. So if I use the SKCC as an example, one of their club's activities is to collect their membership numbers. So the idea is to collect as many membership numbers as possible. They have a whole procedure written out for you. So if you're doing this for the very first time and you print it off for yourself, fill in your call sign in the appropriate spots. You know pretty well what everyone's going to say. If you're doing POTA, there's a protocol or a procedure. You can look it up. You can listen to people, write it down, make a cheat sheet. And I've put some up actually on YouTube. I've got a bunch of ones for people just to give them an idea. So what you're going to say, it's all there. How fast you have to be, like I said, don't worry about it. Go as slow as you need to. Another one is, who am I going to talk to out there? Well, that's a good question. If you join some of the organizations, I referenced the SKCC. You can go to their point and go to their what they call their sched page or schedule page, and you can post, I'm on such and such a frequency. Someone will call you, or they might send you a PM, like I just referred to, and say, hey, what speed are you at? Especially if you have QRS beside your name. No problem. You want someone to talk to? Remember, what do we do in Morse code? You send the letter CQ. So you send a couple of CQ calls and you keep sending until somebody answers you. You have no idea who will answer you or where they are in the world or what their abilities or anything. And that's part of the fun of the hobby. That's a little bit of the fun of the unknown. So they are going to be out there and they will answer you. You will always find someone who wants to talk. And I guess the last thing is, you're going to reach a point, probably many times on your journey. What's the point? What's the point of doing all this? Geez, I can't get this right. These letters I keep screwing up. I'm just having trouble sending these letters. There will always be, throughout your Morse code journey, a what's the point opportunity. It will come many, many times. That goes back to what I said at the beginning on motivation. And understanding, as we said in this video, you can do it. Persevere. buckle down a little bit, push your way through it. Everyone reaches a plateau, and a plateau is where you've been going great guns, and all of a sudden, no matter how hard you try, you're not seeming to get anywhere. And but you keep trying, you keep trying, you keep trying, then all of a sudden, boom, you jumped up, and now you're off and running again. So don't get discouraged, and don't fall for the what's the point. I may as well give up. Never, 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 because you can do it. Good luck with it. Maybe we'll even see you in class. Keith, Victor Echo 3, Sierra Victor Quebec, the shaky key, which says a lot about my Morse code abilities when I started. 73. Have a great day.